Yes, sir. You already know what it is. Dune review. Was that good? Actually, it does sound kind of nice. Dune review, chapters 14 and 15. It's been a minute since I last did this, but we're back at it. Probably gonna be a semi-short, kind of quick. I don't know. We'll go off the vibes. You know how these reviews are. I will say, chapter 15 blows 14 out the water. 14 was like extremely short. And it really was just, again, get into Duke Little's head and also like Paul's head too and whatnot. Because the chapter starts off with like Paul reading like this video message of like the people of Arrakis call him the Musa al-Adib, I believe it's called. And then his father talking about how his plan deal like his wife because as you guys know, Hawat said his wife could be the traitor and they're going to do surveillance on her. And he needs to make it. He doesn't want to tell his wife they're going to like do surveillance on her because he wants to deceive the Iraqis into thinking he believes that his wife's a traitor and whatnot. But he's telling Paul this because he wants Paul to know. He wants Paul to tell his mother that if something does happen to him, he wants Paul to tell her that he never believed she was a traitor. He's just doing this because he's trying to deceive the Iraqis and whatnot. Stuff like that. Then Paul kind of seeing like his father's mindset right now, how it's kind of like spiraling out of control. Kind of seemed like very uneasy, nervous, and thinking that he might die at some point. So Paul's dealing with that. And the chapter ends with saying like how they had to like Duke Little saying how they had to utilize desert power. You know what I mean? Like the world of Arrakis. He was mentioning how also like since spices in the air and whatnot all around, like that could probably cause them to. Let me double check this one. No, that's not it. It was. Where was it, bro? Not that. It was right here, I swear to God. Okay, again. Here it is. Arrakis has another advantage. I almost forgot to mention. Spice is in everything here. You breathe it in, and you eat it in almost everything. And I find that this imparts a certain natural immunity to some of the common poisons of the assassin's handbook. And the need to watch every drop of water puts all food production, yeast culture, hydropics, hemavet, everything under the strictest surveillance. We cannot kill off large segments of our population with poison, and we cannot be attacked this way either. Arrakis makes us moral and ethical. So pretty cool stuff right there. And then when I was talking about earlier, the Duke saying, on Caladan we rule the sea and air power, the Duke said, here we must scrabble for desert power. This is your inheritance, Paul. What is to become of you if anything happens to me? You'll not be a renegade house, but a guerrilla house, running hunted. And also, Paul also meant his father, this is a lot of his father actually said it, man, to break down. Power and Fury said, the tools of StarCraft. I order new emphasis on guerrilla training for you. The film cap there, they call you Madid, Lisa Al-Gib. As a last resort, you might capitalize on that. So even his father's like saying, hey, the people. Oh, that. We're back. Alright. Weird cut right there, I'm sorry. Something fell down. Had to take care of it. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Now I lost my train of thought. I was in the flow state too. Oh yeah. Duke was saying like as a last resort you could probably, capitalize on them thinking like you're kind of this like Musa al-Adib or Mossad or whatnot. Use that to your advantage. But he knows he said as a last resort. Next chapter, Dr. Keynes. And I feel like this chapter was like very interesting. I like this chapter thoroughly. So with this chapter, it's kind of first from Dr. Keynes' perspective, and this is the ecologist of Dune and whatnot. And Duke Leto wants to go to Dr. Keynes to get like the basis and whatnot for like his military power and whatnot. All right. So the chapter starts off with Dr. Keynes and some of the Freemen, and Dr. Keynes sees the Duke and Paul Atreides. So when he looks at the Duke, he says, that he wears the clothes with unfamiliarity. All right, so like the Duke wears his cloth weirdly. Then when Kane's offers to help fix up his steel suit for him, he makes all these adjustments and whatnot to make sure the steel fits him perfectly and whatnot and functions properly. Then when he offers Paul support, he realizes that with Paul, brother, I don't know what's going on. They want to talk to me and whatnot. Interruptions are happening. It's whatever. We should be good now. Crazy video, bro. This is like probably like the first time you guys gonna get like actual cuts in the video. This barely happens, right? Let's do things in like one take. It's gonna be so gross too, seeing those cuts. The immersion, bro. It's whatever. Back to my thoughts. Let me see if I can find my flow state again. So back to Paul. When Dr. Keynes goes to adjust Paul's steel suit, he realizes like Paul made adjustments towards the steel suit as if he's been someone who wore it before, like someone who's used to these clothes and whatnot. Because again, when Dr. Keynes sees both of them, he looks at Paul and he's like, oh, this is someone who actually like wore these clothes before, like the way he wears his robe and whatnot. And I mean his cloak. And like again, compare that to his father's like wears cloak awkwardly. It's very odd. It's like he never wore something like that before. But with Paul, it looks like he has been here before, you know, wore these clothes before. Then he asks Paul, who adjusted your suit for you? Because he's like, so this is like a really good job. He's like, oh, it is myself. I just kind of assume this is how it like works and whatnot. And again, he's impressed. Then he mentions again how the where is it right here? God dang. Kinds. Da, da, da. Where is it? God dang. Oh, I'll start right here. I think it's a pretty good part. And he wore the same style cloak as his father, yet with casual ease that made one think the boy had always worn such a clothing. The Mahdi will be aware of things others cannot see, went the prophecy. Then Khan shook his head, telling himself they're just people. And there was another part he said here. Oh, this was interesting because yeah, the import of Hiawatha's questions had not escaped Kynes. They want the Imperial bases, and it was obvious they learned of the bases from Idaho. I will have Stilgar send Idaho's head to the Duke, Kynes told himself. So Kynes upset that, you know, Idaho wasn't with the free people and whatnot. They're like exposed about the Imperial bases, and now since there's knowledge of them, the Duke wants them. So there's the kind of like tension with that and whatnot. But here, where's the part about him talking to Paul? Da, 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 da. Am I just slow? Paulson's. Okay, just take my word for what I said, alright? Is what it is. But there was one part right here. You must take allowances as you wish, sire. We are... Okay, so this part right here. It's pretty interesting. We are dead to you, Dr. Keynes, Lettle said. These suits and the consideration of your welfare will be remembered. On impulse, Paul called to mind a quotation from the OC Bible. Said, the gift is the blessing of the river. The words rang out... Oh, I can't speak. The words rang out over loud in the still air. The freeman escort Keynes had left in the shade of the administration building, left it from their leading squatting reposts. Muttering in open agitation, one cried out, Lisa Agib. So again, Paul's doing like these little things that to them are very important, that shows that he might be the Messiah of their people and whatnot. And Kynes has some doubt, but it's still like with everything that's going on through this chapter, like how Paul speaks and moves, like he's starting to believe it as well. Because like through the chapter we learn more about the desert, rock zone, survivability in the desert and whatnot. And when it comes to the standing machines and whatnot that extract spice, they are privy to worms going into like attack. Like worms will always come towards them, and like you have to like kind of distract them away so they don't go to your plant. So we also learn the worm ecology. I think the word is ecology, is it? And like it's very hard to kill a worm because like each section of the worm is its own living part. So if you blow one part of it up, it will just still stay alive. So like to take out a worm, you kind of have to use like I think a nuke practically. It's like you have to like really just blow up the worm in like one shot to fully take it out. I'll see if I can find that somewhere. Because they were talking about like worms are such a problem. Like why can't we just kill them? But they're like very hard to kill. Always come. I can't find that either, bro. This video is already kind of weird from like the way it's going to be cut up, which I'm not going to like. It's probably in the beginning of the chapter. Heated air. Now this review, just again, take my word for it, alright? So moving on, they assume that the worm is gonna be coming soon. So and it's coming straight toward their mining base or whatever. So Duke Love's like, alright, like evacuate the people. We have enough space in the plane to escort 6 of y'all, but like 2 of you guys have to stay behind. So then that happens. And the worm ends up, eating the whole machine. Then, like, someone mentions, like, that's a waste of spice. But, like, again, Little wants to save the people and whatnot. And Kynes takes note of that. Like, how Little was very... What's what I'm looking for? Focus to make sure the people were safe. And then, what's he face? Paul makes another observation about the 2 people left behind and said, well, these guys freemen. Means they're like, oh, how are they going to survive out there in the sand and whatnot? And because like throughout the chapter, Kynes was speaking half-truths is what Paul realized. Saying like if you're out there left in the sand, there's no way for you to survive. And then Paul looks at these 2 people saying, are they freemen? Like how are they going to survive and whatnot? And Kynes picks up on that, but then tries to like push Paul aside, saying Paul's theory aside, saying these aren't freemen, they're just regular dudes. It's a very small chance of them surviving and whatnot. It's very hard to survive out in the sands with the worms and whatnot. There's some lies and like half-truths being said by how you can survive in the desert, and whether or not it's like truly like this place where there's like no survival whatsoever. So that's interesting. And yeah, I think that's mostly it for the chapter 2. And again, kind of make note of how right here, Kai snorted. You can't tell Freeman just by looking at them. He looked at the Dune man. Who were those men? Friends of one another, the Dune man said. Just friends from a village who wanted to see the spice sands. Kynes turned away. Freeman? But he was remembering the words of the legend. The Lisal Gib shall see through all subterfuge. They be dead now, most likely, young Sor, said the Dune man said. We should not speak unkindly of them. But Paul heard the falsehood in their voices, felt the menace that had brought Halleck instinctively into guarding position. Paul spoke dryly, a terrible place for them to die. Without turning, Kynes said, when God hath ordained a creature to die in a particular pace, he causeth the creature's wants to direct him to that place. So, interesting again how like Paul makes these up, because again with his training because of his mother and whatnot with the witches, he could like sense people's falsehoods, how they talk and move and whatnot, and like find those little clues to figure out people telling the truth or not telling the truth, or if they're uncomfortable or uncomfortable. And again, the process they set up is because it is so that when I'm gonna lose my train of thought. The process is set up for Paul to work in the situation. It's like it's kind of like set up to be for him to be that person, because his mother birthed him because she wanted him to be like the prophet for the witches. And at the same time, he's also being said to be like this messiah for Arrakis as well, because of his powers granted him by his witch mother and whatnot. So all this stuff is coming together to slowly what's the word we're looking for? Set up Paul to be this, great messiah, which is pretty interesting. And then people around him, or I should say, people around are slowly start to see him to become this messiah, or potentially to become him. So that's again pretty cool, man. But that's it for the review. Sorry for the weird cuts that will be here. Lots of it apparently went to happen around this time, but it's a mindset, is what it is. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this little Dune talk review, and like and subscribe. Don't forget that part. All that great stuff, and I'll catch you guys next time.